This program is going to be similar to the list retrieval 1 program that we did. However, this time we want the program to take whatever list of data we give it, and then it will add up each sequential pair of numbers in the list. So let's take this over to the whiteboard or to the blackboard and see what that looks like. So here I've got that same list of data. We've got 5 items in the list, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. What I wanted to do is go through the list, take 3 and 5, add them together, which of course is going to give you 8. Then take the 5 and the 7, add them together, that'll give you 12. The 7 and the 9, add them together, that'll give you 16. And then the 9 and the 11, adding them together, is going to give us 20. We saw in the first list retrieval example, which we've got here, that we could do a loop or a repeat and have it repeat as many times as there are items in the list. That's what this is doing for us, this repeat length of my list. In this case, there are 5 items in the list, but if there are 20 or 1,000, it would still work the same without having to change any code other than adding more data into the list. We did this by using the function that returns the number of items in the list, and also using a function that returned an item from the list based on the counter. Going back to our calculations, you can see here that we only need to do 4 calculations, even though we have 5 numbers in our list. And it's not too hard to see that if we had 6 items in the list, then there would be 5 calculations to do. So there'll always be 1 less calculation to do than there are items in the list. So the first thing we need to do is change the number of repeats. I'm just going to drag this out for a moment, and we're going to need to do a calculation in there. The calculation we need to do is a subtraction. Drag the subtraction bubble in there, drop the length of my list in. So that is, in this case, going to give us 5. I want to do 1 less than that, so I'll put a 1 there. And that's now going to do my repeat 4 times instead of 5. So we've now got a repeat that will loop the correct number of times. And we know that each time we loop, we're going to add 2 numbers together and say the total. So I'll put in an addition function into the say statement. So first I'm going to drag this out because I don't want it to just say a number, but I know I'm going to want to do an addition. Now we need to figure out how to get 2 sequential items from the list each time it loops. It was easy in the previous example to have a counter and then use the counter to indicate which item from the list to retrieve. So we'll do that again. We're just going to reuse that piece from the last time and drop it in. However, we want to add it now to the second item, but the counter is currently pointing to the first item. So what are we going to do there? It turns out it's a fairly easy problem to solve. The first item is an item that matches the counter. The second item is going to be an item that is 1 bigger than the counter. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'll drop it in there. I'm going to take the counter out for the moment. And this time, I'm going to put an addition in there. Put the counter into the 1 bubble, and I want it to be 1 bigger than that. So this is telling us to go to my list and look for the item numbered counter. So if at this point, when we first ran the program, counter would be equal to 1. That's pointing to this first item. Counter plus 1 is going to go to item number 2, which is pointing to the second item, which is what we wanted to do. Let's go ahead and run the program and see what happens. See, it runs through very quickly. It gives us the totals of 8, 12, 16, and 20. It's exactly what we wanted to do. So this is really the magic that's happening by having a counter and using both the value of the counter and then adding to the counter. It allows you to get 2 pieces of data from the list at the same time when the counter only has 1 value.